What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. So this is kind of like a part two of our most recent visit to the Midwest and Chicago, and most notably, we finally made it to Salem, Massachusetts. It's always been something on my to-do list, my bucket list, if you will, something I've wanted to do for a very, very, very long time, and everything just keeps happening where I never get to go at the time I want to go. I've always wanted to be in Salem during the Halloween season, and not just because of like A, B, and C, because of what other people have done. No, Salem to me was always a place I wanted to go during a more hallowed season, such as Halloween. And not just because there's going to be witch stuff everywhere and there's going to be Halloween stuff everywhere, but also I feel like it's that time of the year when we really do embrace kind of like the more isolationism in the darker parts of our inner soul, as it were. And it's something I've always wanted to do, but I also wanted to just go be around some fall stuff, man. I wanted to be around a little bit of colder air. It's still hot in Florida. Actually, it cooled down for the first time today, but I knew it wasn't going to be that way in Florida when I left. And I wanted to be around a little bit of something where I could, have a cup of coffee outside and not be blistering heat and sweating, but also enjoy some of the finer things that we enjoy about this season, like the leaves falling and changing, the crunching of leaves on the ground, and just, embracing a little bit of the Halloween season, which of course is my favorite holiday and my favorite season. I'm sure it's a lot of people's, but especially when it comes to heavy metal and horror movies and all that stuff, I feel like they all go horn in horn, or hand in hand, as you were. So we continued on through Salem. We ended up going to a couple record stores in Boston and then hit up a great one in Salem. I was an idiot and did not remember to backtrack to the record store that was actually in Salem. There's three, but there's one big one where they really do a great job as far as the heavy metal stuff goes, and their selection was fantastic. So let's start with Chicago first, and then we'll work our way back to Salem. So one of our first pickups in Chicago, I got this from the Reckless Records that's off of Belmont Street. This is Dream Unending, Song of Salvation, and a record I've wanted for a very, very long time, and it's very easy to pick up. Whether it's on 20 Bucks Spin, this is off of 20 Bucks Spin Records, or you can get it on Amazon, or you can get it at any myriad of sources. But this is an album I always wanted to pick up, and I just never did, but I also wanted to see if I can actually get it from a store and support a local record store. Dream Unending. The only way I could explain this, it is dark, it's dreary, it's moody, it's beautiful, it's melodic, and slow-paced and gorgeous. I mean, it really is a phenomenal record, something I've wanted to... This is not like you're going to go to the gym and play this. No, this is not going to go drive down the highway and rocking out. No, this belongs either on a CD player or a record player, and it deserves to be played where you're sitting down and really embracing yourself, reading a book, drinking coffee, whatever, drinking a nice pour of the good stuff, whether it's a pint of Guinness or if you're drinking like a nice bourbon or something like that. This is that record. And the only way I can explain it, it's death doom with an absolute gorgeous sense of melody and sadness, but like these beautiful moments of pianos and clean guitars and melodies from the guitar work themselves that really do take you away. Now granted, it's 5 songs. It's actually quite long for 5 songs, so you already kind of know what you're getting at. This is not going to be like a radio hit type of band, but what they've done with this record, and then of course everything this band has put up, even their collaborative effort with Worm, who's from Florida, and I mean everything they've done has really hit the mark as far as dark melodic death doom, but gorgeous and haunting and sadness and all these things mixed together. They really have done a phenomenal job. So when I saw this used for 15 bucks, it's coming home with daddy. So let's get this out. I mean, even the tagline, I mean, they have a couple stickers on here trying to explain to people what it is. Song of Salvation is the second album from Dream Unending. The duo features the guitarist Derek Vella, the fantastic death metal band Tomb Mold, and drummer Justin Titor. So who's also, Derek Vella is also off of, Tomb Mold, who's also in 20 Bucks Spin as well. This picks up where they left off on their first one with the crystalline guitar intro that sorrows into a 14-minute progressive death doom masterpiece. Slow plodding doom mixed with elements of shoegaze, progressive rock with occasional synths and piano, melodic solos and guitars drenched in shimmering chorus. Fans of everything from early 90s Swedish stuff like Catatonia to Opeth to the great $20 spin roster in general want to check this out, and I could not agree more. There is a similar band whose name currently escapes me, but if you enjoyed the band The Ocean and Pelagial and everything they've done, you're going to love these guys. That's the closest, if you're looking like, oh, but who do they actually sound like? I would say listen to The Ocean, and that's who these guys remind me of. And this is like that gorgeous yellow, orange, red, sunburst vinyl that $20 spin, I will say, does an amazing job with. Their colored vinyl schemes, they always sell out all the time. But this is no different. $20 spin does a lot of these. Those are usually the first ones to sell out, but they did a phenomenal job with this. And of course, we got their custom inner liner sleeve. Ooh, this is beautiful. Don't mind if I do. Here's our inner moment, inner sleeve, with our 5 tracks. But like I said, it's 5 tracks, but it's a long album. And I think, my friends, this is a poster. Holy crap. This is huge. I had no idea we were getting a poster. Oop, I ripped a little bit, but that's okay. No one needs to see that part. This is the worst part about unfolding this part. Yeah, the best part of YouTube is when you get to watch Marty McFly fail to open a poster. But, I mean, look at that thing. That is absolutely gorgeous. This is massive. This has got to be like a 36 by 42 or something like that. I mean, it's huge. They really did a phenomenal job. And, of course, you're going to notice that the beard is subsequently gone in this video. Had to shave, had a little patch that wasn't growing in too well, and you know what? Sometimes you gotta shave it. Girlfriend was not happy. She looked like I murdered a cat or something when she saw that I had shaved the beard, but here it is, about 10 years younger and still the same amount of stress. So that is Dream Unending, Song of Salvation. It's their second record, phenomenal. Definitely check it out. Check out all their stuff. Also their collaborative effort that they did with Worm, amazing. So don't forget to check those guys out. And of course, where would I be if I didn't pick up the newest record from Testament? This is Parabellum. Phenomenal. What a great... I don't even like using the word great. What a phenomenal record. I mean, these guys... I've been waiting since their last release. I'm like, what are they going to do? What haven't they done? Are they going to be, kind of replay and just stay in their lane? And you know what? They've always put out good albums. I really don't have any albums from them I really don't enjoy. But are they going to kind of stay in their lane? Or are they going to go older? Are they going to try and sound like Low? Or what are they going to do with this? No. They came out with this. And of course, I got this from Reckless Records off of Belmont in Chicago, Illinois. And I like this better than the last 2 albums. I mean, wow. I enjoyed the Damnation record as well. I enjoyed Brother to the Snake. But this has really, really captured me. I mean, it's just a phenomenal album. And the reason I'm logging on so much about this, let me say this about that, as one of my old teachers used to say. This new album by Testament has so many influences from so many different directions, and it works. This is not an album where they sat back and just decided to be comfortable. No, they did everything. And there's quite a bit of melody in this, as well as brutality. There's just coming off the first couple tracks, you get black metal riffs up the wazoo. You got a lot of tremolo riffs. You get a lot of those just blast beats. You get a lot of D beats, kind of like punk, which is kind of like where thrash comes from anyway. But you get a lot of D beats, you get a lot of blast beats like that. It has this black metal sound to it, and just unbelievable intro to the record. And of course, I'm talking about the first couple tracks. So For the Love of Pain, Infanticide, AI, Shadow People, Meant to Be. And then we even have like this really bizarre acoustic ballad, which I was not expecting, because if you listen to some of the older Testament stuff, they do that. But it's been a while since I'm like, wow. We have cleans, like real cleans, and everybody's singing. I mean, a lot of clean vocals and this beautiful guitar ballad, or this ballad that comes out of the middle of nowhere, of course with a great bombastic finish. But I mean, what a fantastic album. Now, what I would say is, they put Infanticide AI as their leading track, just to kind of pull people in, which is fine. It's a good song. Is it my favorite on the album? No, it's not even remotely in the top 5 of my favorite off the album. The closing track, Parabellum, solid. But For the Love of Pain, Shadow People, Meant to Be, High Noon, Witch Hunt is fantastic. Nature of the Beast. I mean, this whole record is fantastic. But there's so many surprises that I was not expecting this album, and I would say maybe a little bit of modernism. And I mean, look at this gorgeous gold, kind of like this gold swirl with a little bit of black flecks in it. Marbling. There we go. Marbling. Words are hard. Hi, I'm Marty McFly, and words are hard. But like a gold, and so from my end, it's like a gold orange, but the way it's gonna post up on your video is just like pure gold. But it's this gold and black marbling. And some of the biggest surprises on this album is how modern it sounds. I mean, they really took back, I would say, some of the early like Slayer riffs, but then they even come a little bit more modern with like a little bit of thrash, deathcore, and a little bit of like modern metallic hardcore. And I mean, there's definitely influences there. I mean, you can tell someone's been listening to like a little bit of deathcore before they came out with this. I would say like Despised Icon era deathcore, not necessarily like Lorna Shore, but there's a little bit of like maybe even that. A little bit of Mental Cruelty, I could say you could pull out of this record. And then out of the middle of nowhere, you get a two-step. And I was like, wait, what? I was not expecting that at all. So you get a two-step breakdown. You get black metal riffs. You got everything. And then you even got like the Slipknot chug-a-chug riff that they pull from Psychosocial. It's really similar to that. So there's so many surprises on this record. And I'm going to say this is probably one of my favorite Testament records in a while. Titans of Creation's phenomenal. I got it signed by the band. Love that album. That would easily be in my top 10. But this is next to it, man. I mean, reminds me a little bit of Damnation. There's a little bit of like low influences and maybe a little bit of like The Gathering too. But overall, fantastic record. I'm so glad they came out with this. Can't wait to keep playing this more and more. If you haven't picked it up and you're thinking about it, just do it. You need it. You need it in your life. It's a great record. Keep it going. And last but not least, let's talk about our Salem trip. So there's a couple great record stores in Salem, Massachusetts, and I'd say the biggest one that does with metal is like right on the other side of the Essex Mall, which, by the way, if you've never been in the Essex Mall, the Witch City Mall, avoid it. I mean, there's a couple cool shops in there. At least avoid the bathroom. I mean, the scariest part of Salem, Massachusetts is the bathroom. Because that's where, even our tour guides are like, look, avoid it if you can. It smells horrible. There's shit and piss everywhere. People are shooting up drugs in there. People are smoking weed in the stalls. And I'm pretty sure a couple of people have been murdered in there. So if you can't avoid the Witch City Mall, at least avoid the bathroom. But some of the shops in the mall were cool, so I feel bad because it's not really fair to them. But that bathroom, my poor girlfriend came out and she looked like she saw a dead person. So anyway, there's a great record store right on the other side of that mall, essentially down like one of the streets. And for the love of God, I will put it in the link into the description so you guys can check it out. But great metal selection, especially I would say they're used vinyl, not so much, but great cassette collection, great heavy metal CD collection. I wish I had bought more stuff because that was just a great shop. They used to be actually part of a different shop. And then they combined and then became, what they are now. But I would say their used vinyl, not so much, but their new vinyl is incredible. They have just a massive selection of new vinyl. They have a lot of newer stuff that just came out, too. They got the newest Lorna Shore. They got the Testament. They got a bunch of great stuff in there. But I would say the hidden gem was their Paradise Lost section. I've never seen a Paradise Lost vinyl selection that awesome before, including The Anatomy of Melancholy, which is my favorite live DVD, live CD of all time. They even had the vinyl, and I should have bought it, but I didn't. It was $40, and I think I didn't want to carry anything back with me that day, and we just forgot to make our second rounds and go in there, so I could have just went and bought it. But that's okay. I went to the creme de la creme of punk and hardcore vinyl record stores, and that, of course, is Armageddon Records in Cambridge, just down the street from Hahvahd. You have one of the greatest underground punk and hardcore and metal record stores on the planet, Armageddon Records. And Armageddon Shop, Cambridge, there's one in Providence, never been to that one, but this place was an absolute gold mine. So if you've never been there and you're ever visiting Boston or Salem, you need to stop in this place. And Ben, nicest guy in the world, guy with a big long beard. We could talk for hours about punk and hardcore and stuff. Really nice guy. Now, there's just so many things. There's just so many things to talk about. I don't even know where to start. So you go in. You're going into Harvard. You're going where all the college students are. And down these like old cobbled streets with busy traffic and busy foot traffic and leaves changing and cold air. And then you see this sign out of the middle of nowhere. You have Armageddon Records. Armageddon Shop. And it's just this tiny little sign that's got, basically their main logo. And you go down about 10 steps down into the basement, and then there's this treasure trove of music. And the first thing I picked up was one of the OG records. This came off of Earache. This is Cauldron. Now, Cauldron, new wave of traditional heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. Think Iron Maiden. Think, I'd say a mix between modern and early Judas Priest, but I would say like heavy focus on like think Iron Maiden, think Midnight Priestess, think stuff like that, and you have Cauldron. Night Demon, you have Cauldron. Now these guys are quite a bit before that era, but this came out in 2010 off of Earache Records. Now their vinyl's getting harder and harder to find. I think people are finally picking up on them, but I was able to pick up 2 of their main records on vinyl. One from Planet Retro, which is in St. Petersburg, Florida, and then the other one I got actually from Tiger Records up in Jacksonville. And this album is a lot different than I would say the other ones that I've actually owned by them. But this Burning Fortune, phenomenal album itself. Now that I've really spent some time with it, but I have never seen a vinyl press for this. I'm sure it's out there, maybe. But this is not, obviously this was still heavy CD days. The contents of this record are not what I expected. When I think of new wave of like new album or new wave of traditional heavy metal or whatever you want to call it, when I think about these bands like these Iron Maiden, Night Demon-esque bands, I don't expect them to sing a bunch of love songs. And I would say like this album is actually very heartbreaking. I mean, this album is about heartache, and I don't know if it's directly related to lost relationship or if it's a breakup or if it's divorce or if this is the loss of a loved one maybe. And to me, this gives me a lot of the lyrical content reminds me a lot of like what you get from Daylight Dies, not the album, the band from North Carolina. If you listen to Dismantling Devotion, the lyrical content of this is what really reminds me of Daylight Dies' Dismantling Devotion. So it's well worth the check out. It's sad, it's moody, but it's fast, and it's great guitar riffs, great melodies, great hooks that just sink you in and keep you wanting more and more. So I'm really glad I was able to find this on CD. Now this band, I really didn't spend a lot of time with them, but I recently bought one of their CDs, and then of course I see another one of their CDs in the store. This came off of Revelation Records. But when I think of this band, I was originally introduced to this band by Jeremy of Touche Amore, and he talked a lot about them, and I realized how much, and I've mentioned this band before, but this reminds me a lot of the early Ferret, early Trustkill Records days, and this is Willhaven. So this is the W8, like Willhaven, like self-titled, but WHVN is kind of how they spelled it. And it's just more of that pummeling Ferret, early Trustkill stuff, a little bit of melody here and there, but just heavily pummeling breakdowns. And I really love what these guys have done. And you really got to be in the mood for it. And of course, this is kind of the stuff I grew up with, so of course I'm in the mood for it. But yeah, Willhaven, self-titled, great album. If you haven't checked these guys out, think about the first It Dies Today EP, Forever Scorned. Or think about maybe, if you're looking at the early Evergreen Terrorists before they started getting a little bit more melodic. Or, there's so many bands that are kind of from that era. A Life Once Lost kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Remembering Never. So this is kind of like the vibes that you get from this band. Great CD, but I'm really glad I was actually $2.99. That's a steal. So I was glad I was actually able to pick that up. But we came here for the vinyl. Yes, we did. And I remember the first time I went into Armageddon Shop, and I was on a random trip, and at that point, it was just at the end of the first wave of COVID. They were open, Thank God. I mean, we wore a mask, no big deal, whatever. And they had so much at that time. It took me an hour before I realized I need to go back to my plane. And I didn't buy anything, and I wish I did. Because at that point, they had a copy of Julia off of Ebullition for like $7. They had The Swarm, a.k.a. Knee Deep in the Dead. They had From Ashes Rise, all these great early Screamo violence, power violence, hardcore Screamo records that I wish I could have now, because now they're stupid expensive, and I wish I had bought more of them. So every time I go in there, I try to look for those kinds of things, because they don't overcharge you in this record store. There is one tiny little box that says this is the expensive stuff, and they let you know off the bat. There's nothing in there I really needed. But there is a great section, and there's their general used and new vinyl, and everything is very affordable. So when I wanted more bands like that, so of course that's what I got. And this is Stop Loss, Wander, Defy, Relent, Decay. I don't know how else to explain this. Shorter songs, pummeling metallic hardcore. If you like Marauder, if you like Terror, if you like Hatebreed, if you like, oh my gosh, there's so many bands that sound like this, but you know, this is kind of like a heavier, more power violence, Screamo violence era type of stuff. That if you like Terror and Marauder and you're trying to branch out a little bit more into those kinds of bands, I think you're not going to miss when it comes to these guys. And that's what drew me onto them, because I had to find them on Bandcamp, which you know it's going to be good. I had to find them on Bandcamp because I don't even think it was on Spotify. So check them out. I was like, heck yeah, that's got to come home with me. So this is Constant Disappointment Records number 11. So that's their record label. But yeah, Stop Loss. I was really, really happy with what I came home with. I have no idea what is going on the cover. Maybe you can tell me, but I see some jaws, I see some mandibles, I see a bunch of scary, frightening stuff going on. But this is exactly what I was looking for. When I go to this record store, these are the kinds of things I usually want to bring home. Now, this is something I was not expecting. I didn't even know they had done a picture disc version of this record. But off of Revelation Records, we have Hahvahd, A Profound Hatred of Man. Great metallic hardcore band, if this is what you're into. If you know Hahvahd, that's it. It's melodic metallic hardcore. If you like Terror, if you like Marauder, if you like Hatebreed, you should listen to these guys, because this is kind of like the prototype for everything nowadays. If you like Counterparts, you need to spend time with these guys. If you like anything like that, if you even say you're a lover of hardcore, you need to listen to Hahvahd. And this record is no different. It's a long album, you get plenty of songs, and you just need to check it out. But a picture disc, no less, I was so excited to see. I had no idea Hahvahd had picture disc albums, so very, very excited to have that. This is another band I wasn't too familiar with. I didn't even know what I was getting. I'll be honest with you. I just loved the cover, and I had no idea what it was. And it made no sense in the best possible way. So I love the cover, and that's something about this record store that I feel like I get jumped into a lot. Is there's some great bands that just have blank covers. You have no idea who the band is, so I had to do some digging. But Pulling Punches, the old colors are dead. This is pressing number 1. This is vinyl 66 out of 229 off of Creep Records. I don't know. I had no idea. This is another one. I'm like, all right, well, Bandcamp it is, because I need to figure out who this band is. This is just more in the same vein of like early metallic screamo, power violence, hardcore, and with a little bit of everything else. And that's it. Like, I really have nothing else to say except it was a lot of fun. I just put in my headphones while I was in the record store, just like, I gotta listen to these guys are pummeling, ferocious metallic hardcore with a lot of that early 90s screamo, power violence stuff. And this says this comes on a purple vinyl, and the inner sleeve is actually made to the actual cover, so it's kind of hard to pull the whole thing out. Gorgeous purple vinyl with a little bit of black splatter. So yeah, I mean, I really, it was kind of a tough pick, because it's a little floppy. It's, you know, the cover is not really built to stand the test of time, but you know, they didn't want much for it. It's $12, and I was like, even if you get 10 tracks, 5 tracks, 7 tracks, whatever, it's still going to be a lot of fun, and that's what I'm here for. And I love picturing and grabbing these like small beat to death albums where you find these gems. That's how I found a lot of bands before. That's how, I mean, I found about Panopticon through Brain Smasher on YouTube, and then I ended up finding Panopticon everywhere. And now Panopticon is finally coming out with the vinyl repress for their 10th anniversary. Can't wait for that. Of course, I pre-ordered it the minute it came out, and can't wait for it. Now, this kind of a sad story because unfortunately the cover is torn due to a piece of tape, an errant piece of tape. But this was the first album by this band that I ever got introduced to, and he didn't want much for it. $35 for a first pressing off EMI Records, 1984. This is Iron Maiden's Power Slave. I made a short about this just recently. 2 Minutes to Midnight, Aces High. It's Iron Maiden, man. I mean, this is going to be a top 5 Maiden record for me. I'm pretty sure my list would probably piss everybody off. But EMI at 1984, my very first Maiden album. Nice custom center labels. And then, of course, the gorgeous inner sleeve. This was my first Maiden record. My very first Maiden song was 2 Minutes to Midnight. So that kind of shows you, like, back in the day, my brother was playing this for me, and I didn't know who they were. And then all of a sudden, he's playing this, and then the music choice channels, if you remember back in the day on Time Warner or Spectrum or whatever, the very first Maiden song I ever heard was Minutes to Midnight, or 2 Minutes to Midnight, off of this album. And then that just hooked me in. This was like, I'd never heard anything like that before in my life, and I was just hooked for life. And there I am. Now, to actually have a copy of this, so happy, because now I have first press EMI records of Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, and Peace of Mind. I do not have Killers, the self-titled, or Number of the Beast, which would be an ideal situation. I know they're a little bit pricier, but they're findable. You just got to save up some money, and then when you're ready to spend the $45-$50 in a record store, you just go get it. My Peace of Mind is kind of chewed up. It always skips during the Trooper, which sucks. And because I think that is one of the most complete Iron Maiden albums ever made, but I would still say my top 5. I don't even have Seventh Son in my top 5, and that probably pisses everybody off, because it's not even remotely my favorite Maiden record. But if I'm going to give you like a top 3, I'm probably going to say Somewhere in Time, Peace of Mind. Between Power Slave and Killers. Probably have to say Power Slave, because I mean, if you think about the albums that really broke this band through the ceiling, I'd probably have to say that. And then, that's probably about it. I'd probably have to say Somewhere in Time, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Killers, Number of the Beast. That's my top 5 Maiden. Here, insert anger comments here. But I wouldn't even say Seventh Son is remotely even my top 10. It's a great album, but it's just not my favorite. Anyway, that was my trip to Boston and then Salem. Picked up some great records on the way home. If you're ever in the Boston area, you're near Cambridge, you're going to Salem, check out those record stores, especially Armageddon Shop. And the guys over in Salem, I think it's Everybody's Record. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. But Relentless? No. Not Relentless? No. But phenomenal record stores. So this video is long enough. So that's my pickups from the most recent trip. My next video, I'm actually going to show you our trip through Salem. So I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are taking care of each other. And peace.